righty then. I would say that it must be Wednesday, and I'm just listening to the news. Do you know that we're like a day or so away from fall? I mean, not even thinking about it, but it's just like, well, I mean, football is here. I'm still
Football.
in, I mean, I'm still here in Florida because the temperature's in the 90s, but fall is like right around the corner. How you doing, the original Coach Carter?
Doing fine, doing fine. We are starting to feel a little bit of that fall at last. A little
All right.
cooler temperatures in the morning. Our evenings are starting to cool down, and we are forecasted for some cooler weather, I think, next week. Well, not 90s, more or less 70s. So we're starting. We're starting our descent.
All right. Well, the funny thing is, like you always say, October is like my favorite time of the month. But one of the things that I don't always talk about why is that I get to go fish for sheephead, which is a fish that I
Mm.
love to try to fish for this time of the year. So I love it when the temperature started to cool off a little bit. That means that I can go out and start fishing for some sheephead. But this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday right here at www.youthcentralsports, also on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. So you make sure that you hit that like button and make sure that you subscribe to us. And you can always no, you don't have to try, but you can always hit the original Coach Carter up. Let me see if I can find him here on Twitter. Yeah. Here we go, right here on Twitter. And speaking out loud is that what it's called? Speaking out loud?
That's what it's called. Speaking out, talking out loud.
Talking out loud. Yeah. You put out some pretty good stuff there daily.
We try to, the intent is to support and encourage like minds, like thoughts, and give everyone a break, kind of share that thought and give everybody an encouraging word.
Okay, so how is the original Coach Carter on this Wednesday?
Well, it's been again exciting time for us at school. Football, one of our biggest games coming up this Friday. We're starting our basketball efforts are taking place now. Conditioning and open gyms are taking place. Volleyball teams are rolling right along, uh, doing fantastic. Well, baseball is about to get started. The soccer team is doing well, doing very well, as a matter of fact. So it's just exciting times in the world of athletics.
Okay, well, let me real quick say hi to an old friend of mine that I grew up with back in the day. That was Myron Coney. How you doing, Coney? I hadn't seen you in a while. It's funny because I thought about you yesterday because I took my motorcycle out and I took it around the corner because I haven't, been on it for a while. And so I keep saying that I need to hook up with you because we haven't seen each other for a while. But even though the temperature is dropping, but it is going to be some real riding weather coming up real soon. So
Mm.
I need to hook up with you, Coney. So actually, if you inbox me your number on Facebook, I'll call you. So just want to give you a quick shout out there to your boy Myron Coney there in Jayville, Duval. So, man, there's so much to talk about in the world of sports. I don't even know where to start. Well, let's start here. What you think of the seventh place finish of our NBA players in the FIBA World Cup? Let's start there. Seventh place because Popovich, rightfully so, because but then he been around long enough. He knows that that's part of it. If we don't finish first, they're going to take some heat. I don't care if it was the fourth string players in the NBA. You know what's coming when we don't win it all. What you think about
Well,
the seventh
well,
place finish?
I think he's right, and it would not have mattered if we'd had the top players in the finish. It would be the same. You expect to win. You expected to be in the championship at all times. I think they gave the best effort. They didn't have the best talent. These kids that have not had a chance to play together for any length of time, as some of the previous players did, and putting top talent on the floor is putting top talent on the floor. And I think that the games that I saw, I thought they played hard. Could they didn't have the best decision? But that's what happens. I mean, you can't blame those kids. I think it's a disservice not to honor those kids that actually made that commitment, to put that time in to go out there and try and make it happen. Now, nobody's satisfied with seventh place, obviously not. But you didn't have the best that you had. You didn't give. You couldn't compete. And so you did what you could do. You look on the other side of that. You're seeing a lot of people now. Of course, Curry is one. They want to commit to be involved, and I think this was a transition year for this type of basketball, given all that's taking place in the NBA. And I think you're gonna see some other changes, but it's a disappointing finish, but it's just reality. It's not the end of the world. We fell short. So we could come back, we put it back together and come back and try again.
Well, one of the things that I was going to say, Vince, was that Steph had already saying that he wants to play on the Olympic team. So,
Yeah,
that's a plus. So, which I guess would
yeah.
be very encouraging, I guess, for
But
some
but
others.
you also have to look at Steph also said too. It's an experience he has not had. Now looking at some of the other players that pulled out for whatever be their reasons or didn't get involved, they've already had that experience. And maybe some time in their career when they don't want to put that extra time on their wear and tear on their body. And I do get that. I really do understand that. But I just think it's a transition situation. It's a change in how things happen. We fell short, and we're disappointed. But no more than if you lost a game. You regroup and you come back. And I think this was going to have to happen. But I just don't like the name calling. I don't like all of that because we lost. We were expected to win. I expect us to win as well. But it's not the most devastating thing. If we don't, it just means we have to regroup. We got to take another look at this and approach it differently.
Yeah, but Vince, you already know that is going to always be, that's not going to ever change, especially when it comes to us in the sport of
I
basketball.
expect
Because,
to win.
right.
Yeah, I expect to win too, but I don't think the name calling afterward and blaming, faulting people for to me that's disrespecting the effort that they gave. It may not have been enough effort to win, but they were committed to being there. They went out and put forth an effort on the floor. And I can understand our narcissistic attitude about win, and I'm 100 because I'm in that category also. But I'm human enough to understand that I want to say thank you to those that represented us the best that they could, and they fell short, and that's not. But you put your hand in. How do they feel? And
right.
nobody's talking about how they might feel about this, and how much of a disappointment it may be for them, just win loss. But it's not the end. And I think that's one of the things we talk about in sports. It's not the all to the all. It's a maximum effort given, but it's not the all to the all. It's always resiliency, an opportunity to regroup, reload, and come back and let's do it again.
And the I'm looking forward to. Oh, Lance Stephen, real quick. He's over in China. Did you see where he
Uh-huh.
signed the contract to play over in China?
And I care why.
Well, when he was on the, because I mean he was a top headliner, when he was blowing into LeBron's ear when they was in the playoffs, and then he ended up playing with LeBron, and just interesting that where he was then and where he is now, and then there's always the talk, even more talk and more talk about your favorite player, Anthony. So,
Well,
in
look at
which,
Jeremy Lin.
right?
Jeremy Lin has not been a less controversial type athlete. Actually won a championship and has played some very good basketball. No more place for him in the league. There's no more place for Stevens in the league. He had outlived his usefulness for what they needed from him, the teams that he played on. And it's true of Anthony also. It's just they don't need that anymore. And I don't. I think Lance more than Carmelo. Carmelo's got one small opportunity to make a change. I don't think he can make it to survive. I think Lance has just reached that point where there's not a place for him in the NBA. Just the style of ball, all this young talent coming along, and the skill level that's out there. When you match that young talent skill level against his mature um, mature being length of years, time and service he's had, you go with the younger side. That's just good business. That's not necessarily personal. I think his antics doesn't help, but still, if you're going to risk, where would you pick your risk? If I'm a GM, I take my risk on the younger player. So he just played out. It's one of those situations where it just played out, and the fact that he can go over there and still play basketball, I think that's a credit to him for giving that effort. And it's kind of so it's still a market for him. I think there's a market for Carmelo
Well,
Panther overseas, but not here.
right. Well, that's what I was going to say because those guys go over there and make some really good money. And
They get in the
Lance
right
been
situation, yeah.
right. Yeah, Lance has been in the league long enough where he going to get his pension, but he's also able to go over there and make some pretty good money. And
But Charles, and most people need to understand that there's a hierarchy in the overseas market as well. There is more of an effort required of a foreign player joining one of those teams to perform. A lot of times they only have, depending upon what league you're playing in, and generally there's only so many what they call foreign spots, or in our case, we'd say Americans can come over and play on a team. And so when they bring you over, there's an expectation that you're going to perform. If you don't perform, they quickly will get rid of you. So I think it's more of a pressure for you to get over there. And the money is good. The money is very good. There's some kids been over there their entire basketball careers and have done exceptionally well, far more than what people would imagine. I'm playing at a high level of European ball, but it's a production. In fact, in some cases, it's more about production there than it is in the league. You can't over here. We can kind of, I mean, still you want the same level, but there you got three spots for American players. When I bring an American player, this guy's got to do it. Or I got to. So the fact that they can go over there and find work and keep it and get it done, I'm excited for him. He has a function because he can rebound the ball. He's an aggressive player that they could use that, and he shoots the ball okay, so he could be okay over there.
right. A little crazy day here, Vince. It's kind of settling down here, right here by Channel 6. And not early this morning, but early enough this morning, there was a gentleman who jumped the fence and started, he climbed the tower.
Mm,
He climbed the tower. And for a period of 8 hours, they tried to talk this young man down because when the rescue workers went up to get him, now mind you, this thing is 400
yeah,
feet tall.
right.
The if you know the size of the Orange County Court building, that's 416 feet tall. So that's a tall building.
Hmm.
So he was, from what I'm saying, he was probably at the halfway mark. And then after he had been there for a while, they was trying to talk to him, and then the rescue team tried to go up. Then he went further up as they made the attempt to go after him. Then they left. But the cool thing about that, Vince, and the reason why I'm bringing it up and mentioning it was the people who came and formed a circle and was praying and was encouraging each other in prayer. And after 8 hours, he finally came down, and come to find out, I think they said that he was known to have some mental issues. But for a period of, because you could even hear where I'm sitting now, you could hear the bullhorn and the lady talking, and I mean, the whole time she was there trying to talk this young man down and, not to hurt himself. And from what you know, I drove by, went by, and I could never see him. Fran saw him, but of course, the news and all the helicopters was there, but it was just very encouraging that so many people came together, formed a circle, said a prayer, and whether or not he knew that was taking place, but at this day and time, with all the things that's going on, Vince, it's so uplifting. The people would come together and for a cause like that, and you can feel it in their spirit. And he came down, and so it was a happy ending. So I just
It
wanted to
is,
share that.
but and that's, I mean, obviously that's fantastic. Another life saved, and there's an awful lot of that that's taking place that we don't hear about. We tend to, I think you work in the news media. I've been around it enough to know that we put the tantalizing, the news hour attractiveness in a newspaper, selling items in the paper, or whatever, or that's what we broadcast. But we don't talk about the everyday miracles that take place, the sacrifice that people are making. I can say for the time that I've been in sports, I've seen an awful lot of that done just gone unrecorded and not even mentioned. Sometimes even families of the recipients of such caring have not really known the detail in which people have given to their child. I've known parents, their child has been a recipient of a lot of prayer, a lot of feeling from their teammates that parents don't even know about. And that's why I believe in so strongly in sport and what sport represents and what it can do. I've seen sport used in serving addiction, co-occurring addictions, severe illnesses and stuff. The fact, the camaraderie, the relationship that you get, the fact that somebody cares about you, if only for a minute, how valuable that is. There's a campaign going on now from AARP that quoted the number of seniors who are suffering from loneliness now. They've even created a campaign to try to reach out to those people. We're still caring people. The fog is all over. We don't see and we don't sometimes talk about it, but we're still a caring people. I see it every day. I work with special needs kids, and their priorities and feelings are so different. And I want to think that I'm giving every day to make their lives better. But I can tell you for sure that I'm receiving from them so much that's making my day better. We're still a caring people. Despite all the stuff that's going on around us, this is another point of encouragement that we're still caring about each other. We're still people.
That is true. Yeah, and that it was great just to know that there people were out there,
Yeah.
and many prayers was going up,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, we don't know what was going on in the young man's world and in his mind and what he was going through, but it was a good outcome.
Yeah.
Now,
Outstanding.
right. So as we talk about the good outcome, I'm going to talk about something that's not so good.
Mm.
The pitcher who, did you hear about the baseball pitcher that was arrested for Lupe? Uh, uh,
Yes.
man, you are better equipped to have that conversation than I am because you have dealt with a lot of the dysfunctional people. I get the ego sometimes and how we feel about ourselves and how we think a lot of things that we do in the dark shall not come to light.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a gentleman who allegedly, but on something like that, to what degree, I'm not quite sure. But you go from being on the mound pitching in the major league to now you're behind bars, and I don't know how he's going to overcome this one. I'm not quite sure.
That's, Charles, that's the part, again, I think we've talked about that so many times, directly and indirectly. At the end of the day, this is another human being that's at a crossroads that he obviously cannot handle. A lot of conversations going on in this country, and it's around mental health, but I still think we don't address mental health.
No, we don't
We
handle that
use it
very
as a
well in this
crutch a
country at
lot.
all.
We use it as a crutch to support issues unrelated to mental health,
Right.
but we don't really address it. So, and and those stressors come. Those sometimes those situations are bigger than what they're doing. You they were talking. I saw some numbers today about airline pilots who spend all of that time learning to fly and go through all of that they go through to become to get their certification and credentials to fly, and they throw it away on a $4 drink. And because it drives. I mean, the pressures of it all drive them to some type of support. In some cases, drugs, sometimes it's alcohol. A alarming number of pilots that are consuming alcohol before flying. alarming number of lawyers who, at the end of their day, are drinking. I had a personal friend of mine who eventually died from technically being overdosed on alcohol. And he one time said it's just the culture, it's the expectation. Well, these athletes are no different. It's all about performance. It's all about, think about, and I sometimes think about this too. We look at a sport as fun, and it is fun. But when you start to get into it as a business, it's a whole different set of priorities, learning and understanding how to best to do your job. If you're a pitcher, learning how to pitch so you can win the count, put the ball in a certain position. All that's mental work every single day as a part of your job. Or if you're the quarterback, or if you're the coach, or if you're the defensive back coach, that's what you do. But that's in addition to living. That's in addition to whatever else that you're facing each and every day, and it becomes overwhelming sometimes. And again, and we're not always reaching out to help, and they're not always asking for help. And sometimes we see them and we don't reach out to them. We know something's not right, but we don't know how to fix. Sometimes we don't want to interfere. The famous words even I've used. I don't want to interfere into their life, but sometimes you got to in order to save them. So it's a crisis, man. And if you stop and look at it, Charles, if you look across, and we're just going to talk about, of course, the sports spectrum. A
Hmm.
lot of it's right in front of us, and we don't see it.
Right.
Only because we haven't called him out as an alcoholic. We haven't called her out as a drug addicted person. We haven't called him out for a domestic violence person, in that we've been able to label that. But a lot of those signs are right in front of us every single day, in that sport locker room, on that field, or in that dugout. Sometimes we don't see it because we're so close to it. Sometimes we don't want to see it.
Right.
It's going on every day.
Right. Speaking of, I was listening to the sports radio and I heard Sports Illustrated reporter that has come out with a report on Antonio Brown.
Hmm.
And allegedly, as he told the story, see the best way that I can tell it shortly, that Antonio Brown has changed over the period of time, where the people who he gravitated to, who supported him when he was younger and not making as much money,
Hmm.
that he was a little different. And those people are no longer in his life. But as this other allegation came up in the investigation, as they spoke to the lady, not the one that's with the civil, this is another lady who
Right.
said that
2017.
said that he was part of a charity group that was doing a fundraiser for helping kids learn how to read or something like that. There was an auction, there was a painting. He actually bought the painting for $700. He bid it $700. And the person who actually did the painting, the young lady, he asked if, in addition to that painting, that if she would come and do a mural at his home, and he would pay her for that. And as she was at his home doing the painting, she turned around and he was standing there with no clothes on except for a cloth over his genitals. And she didn't want any part of it. So she kind of like, no, and boom. And so the next day she decided that she didn't want to take part in it. And that, could you pay me, blah, blah, blah. And I think he may have given her a little money, but he never did pay for he never did pay for the $700 painting. To this day, he still haven't paid for the $700 painting that was supposed to have gone to the charity for the kids to read. But he also supposedly, allegedly, has stiffed a chef out of over $30,000 and some other stuff, and they're just talking about his constant misbehavior and some other
Right.
stuff,
It's a pattern.
right? So that's
And
allegedly,
and I say this in all kindness, to, in reference to, there's also an investigation from the NFL and the Belichick and the effort they're believing. They're now discussing the possibility that there was tampering going on in his situation, moving from the Raiders to
yeah.
the Patriots. He,
I was
he's
looking for
always
that
wanted to be a
somewhere.
Patriot. Yeah, he always wanted to be a Patriot, and it's now it's come out. And Tony Dungy had an interesting. He thought it was very embarrassing for both the league and for the Patriots. The number one, once you made, we're not even talking about the tamper. The mere fact that you got the young man and you didn't even hesitate to put him on the field, pending an investigation of a very serious nature. You just played it.
Right.
And you featured him on top of that. And then there's an article that the Allegheny County District office out of in Pittsburgh. There was an incident there with an alleged they're not going to charge him in the 2017 alleged rape case, but then you got the 2018. Now you got 2019, and if you go back to those other issues, and they've been ongoing. There is a pattern there. There is an explosion waiting to happen there. He's bad blood. He may be an excellent athlete, but he's bad blood, and that people say, well, he'll go there under Belichick's system, and Belichick will change him. That remains to be seen. I don't know that I don't know if he cares enough about he's reached the destination that he wants to be. Will it change him? It may have some impact on him. I just don't know how long. Because Belichick's system and the way they do things, I've heard from other athletes who've been a part. It's closed mouth. It's in house. We keep our mouth, but there's an expectation of how things get done. They reference Randy Moss when he went there, how he changed, and so on and so forth. This remains to be seen for me, but I hope it could help him. But if I look at the previous information, I'm not I'm not convinced. I'm hopeful, but I'm not convinced that
Wow.
he can make that change.
Yeah, it's got some serious,
Very
man.
serious.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's stay in the NFL for a minute. Got some serious, well, not some serious, but we got some people that's hurt.
Yeah, the nature of the game,
Right. Big Big Ben out for the rest of the season.
and that hurts. That really hurts
Right.
Pittsburgh and and New Orleans, man, with Sean Payton. Now Ben's gone for the year.
Right.
Payton,
But Breeze.
Breeze. I'm sorry, Breeze is 6 to 8 weeks, maybe, is what they're talking about now, which
Right.
still gives them an opportunity. You could come back earlier, but I don't know.
Cam.
That Yeah, yeah, Cam. That's tough. And all these guys hurt it. The fact that you lose your starting quarterback. I don't care how good your backup players are. You lose your starter, man. That's a big situation. That hurts.
Yeah, they were. I mean, there was a couple of reports I was watching earlier. Man, they talking like Cam is like through, like he's done. I mean,
I haven't
they
seen anything on that, but I do
right,
know that Cam been hurt. This is not his first injury either. He's had some significant injuries um, over his career that really had him on the sidelines for a while.
right.
You know, you go back to Andrew. Okay, this just kind of supports the idea uh, to some degree. I was thinking of this today: the shortening of preseason games and trying to get, like for instance, Philadelphia. Now look at this: the Philadelphia Eagles went away from practice to walkthroughs. Then they show a list of their injury report. They got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 players that cannot, 9 to 10 players cannot participate, and you got about 8 players on limited.
Wow.
Too much contact. I'm sure that's what they're going to come back and say. They got to limit the amount of you can accomplish. Because I always look at it like this: they hit in preseason in training camp and all that, and doing their drills and their OTAs and all the things they get their hitting done. Because typically in a pro, they don't hit maybe once a week doing and then they practice. I could see backing off of that because you hit every Sunday. You're gonna get out there and you can lock. They're gonna do instead of full contact. Not Philadelphia's gonna walk through it. High number of injuries.
Right. They were. I heard them talking about the Jets Browns game, and they
Hmm.
were saying how the Jets have sort of a legit excuse for looking the way that they do because they're missing seven starters. They're like, wow, they're missing seven starters,
11-man roster. 11. Look, you got 11 people on the field.
and they're missing
Okay, so you got
seven.
11 starters and seven of them not there.
Wow. Yeah. And
That's scary.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And in the
So
NFL, and more so than any place else, it's about number of reps. They got great backup quarterbacks, but who get the most reps? It's the starter.
right.
They expect that backup to come in and do what come in and perform at a high level with limited number of reps. Well, the first team gets the most reps. So when you lose a starter, you've lost the guy that's got the most reps. So there's other guys coming in now. I think he has the IQ, but he hasn't been getting the reps on the field. He hasn't been getting the reps on that position. So that has to be worked through in practice and in games. He's going to be deficient to some degree. Now, occasionally you get that unique player he's just that high skilled. But the majority of them, we got to work our way up to that. So seven starters out, man, that's tough. And at that level,
What did you do? It's obvious that the Miami Dolphins are tanking. I would
man,
I would be shocked if they win a game this year. I don't know what they're gonna look like, a year from now, but that's a bad team.
and and I think I look at that, and you're 100% right. It's just hard to imagine. All these guys are getting paid. They're trying to come and do their job, and you can't. I mean, how do you maintain a positive attitude? Because you get beat up every week. That's going to take a toll on you after a while. I mean, you meant, your coaching staff and everybody's got to continue to try to be positive and encourage these guys. But man, Charles, I've been there. That wears you down. And at that level, it's not going to get any better. I'm wondering, what are you saying to them? What's the future look like from the organizational structure, the administration? What are you looking at? What do you tell the current coach? We're not even talking about next year. What do you tell these guys for Sunday? What do you show up? Obviously you got to ask them to show up and give it the best that you got. And they may be in fact doing that, but they just outmanned, outskilled. How do you put a team together like that? I mean,
Yeah, I just
and I
I.
don't know. I'm just
But
really
but
starting to look at them.
but one of the things that we always talk about, you always say it, and that is just going out and being able to compete.
Got to be
And
able to
it
compete.
right. And
Got to
so with whatever you're doing, you're not even able to compete.
compete. So there's so many things wrong there, Charles. If you can't compete, I'm not talking about win.
Right.
But I'm talking about going out there and looking like in quote unquote a professional team. If you can't get that done, we got major, major issues. It could be talent, it could be coaching, it could be a combination of all of the above. Uh, we got to make some changes, man. I think about when the Magic hired Jock Vaughn. They wanted Jock Vaughn to climb a mountain without giving him a step ladder. He wasn't gonna get over that mountain. There
Right.
was no way he was going to, and he wasn't a bad coach. But he just didn't have anything to work with. And yet you held him. I mean, you got to hold him accountable, but you also got to give the man something to work with. And I don't know the roster situation down in Miami, but I was under the impression that they had, it was going to be better this year. They weren't going to be a Super Bowl contender, but it was going to be better this year than last year. Some of the trades that I heard, I just thought, okay, we're working on it, and maybe they still are, but it just doesn't look like it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm trying to imagine what that's like, being in the locker room. Well, I've been on a losing team before. I've been a part of a losing team, and it's hard, man. It's hard from a coaching perspective, and it's hard from a player's perspective. You got to give hope every week, and knowing in the back of your head that the outcome may not be anywhere near what we anticipate, but you got to give hope. You got to keep coaching,
Yeah.
and but it's hard because okay, maybe week one, week two, well, we're going to week three now.
Right.
Um, and okay, you might be able to sell it one more week. Week four, yeah, it's gonna be hard. If you don't look better this week, I'm not even talking about winning. If you don't compete this week,
But
week
now,
four,
but the thing is, understanding the whole psyche of it, though. When you, I mean, starting from, I'm not even going to mention ownership because that's a whole nother thing. But from the head
hmm
coach down, from practice to where you are, just when you're that bad, and then just the whole concept of like, what is practice like? What's the motivational speech like?
yeah,
What is it
yeah,
like in the huddle? What is it like at practice? It's like, what are they saying? How do they feel? What do they come home and talk to their families about? What are the phone
mhm.
calls? All that stuff. What do the fans say when they see him out? Is it's just
Yeah.
it just it gotta be chaotic when you're that bad.
It it is, and what you mentioned is so many fronts that people don't really realize that it rolls back down here. And I definitely know what it's like when you're on the floor, on the field, and you're trying to win small battles. You're trying to achieve small goals to stay encouraged, to give the players an opportunity to see that, okay, if we do this, this can work well, or we execute it correctly. We don't know what the outcome will be, but we know we can execute this correctly. But then you go, that's on the field where everybody's trying their best to be encouraging, and 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 trying to reinforce the idea that it's going to get better. But then when you get outside of that bubble and you go home, to, maybe even your own kids, maybe your own spouse, your family, they're not as you would think sometimes they would be even more compassionate to you, but sometimes they are not. Especially
Nope.
young kids, they could care less about daddy play on this team. Daddy, that's not the team I like. I like the other team better than I like your team. And and then you go home and you got to explain to him, Dad, why y'all losing?
Right.
I mean, and I'm sure there's some of those kind of scenarios. That's tough.
And actually, just like, I mean, for an example, like last season, just like the low key player Larry Fitzgerald, he
Hmm.
has never spiked the ball ever. He said, I had never spiked the ball ever since I've been playing football. And he spiked the ball because it was out of frustration because he was getting
Yeah.
flack from his son from losing. So when he scored a touchdown, he was like, ugh. That's
Well,
an
that's the
example of what you mean.
emotional. Yeah,
Because he
that's
said he
what.
got tired of his son, like, Dad, what's wrong with y'all?
And that's a tough question to ask, because a lot of times it's not me, and sometimes it is me, the individual, but sometimes it's not us at all. It's just circumstances. We are really giving 110%. It's just not working for us. I mean, we really putting out as much as we can. It just not working, So, uh, but see that now we laugh about that, we smile about it, and we want to be compassionate about it, and all that's true. But that's also there's a dark side to that. That adds pressure to a pressure cooker that's already cooking. You just take the temperature up another 100 degrees. There's a breaking point coming.
Right.
And that person has got to find a way to balance that. They already bet they got 100 balls in the air. Now you put a 50-pound ball in that on top of the other 100 that I got. Now I got a big 50-pound ball because this is my day to day. In many cases, this is my escape that you're dealing with now. My escape is broke down. Where's he going?
Yeah.
Then he goes to his crutch. And that's domestic violence, that's alcohol, that's drugs, or whatever it might be. So I mean that's not every player, and that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying those players that are on the edge, on the cusp of that, they're already, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, hockey, or whatever. That's their outlet. That's their safe zone. That's what keeps them from really coming off the track. Now that's in trouble.
Right.
He has no
Yeah.
place to go. Has no place to go, and so um, he and she or she, they run up against that. Now you hit that brick wall, and that panic sets in because they don't have any place to go now, and they believe that nobody understands. They also believe nobody cares. So it's just me against the world.
Just like
Yeah.
yeah, like Al Davis says, just win, baby, just win.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even what Al was saying there is, that's your professional life.
Right.
You focus on that. Come on, and that does help. Gosh knows winning helps a lot. It really does. It covers up a lot of holes and evils and bad feelings and depressions and all that because you are
Right.
winning. But if you really understand the world of human mental health, even sometimes winning is not enough. Super
Right.
Bowl champion, MVP, league, whatever, with all those accolades, big paycheck, big rings, all that, and they still like
Life is
it
still
has no.
coming. Life
Yeah,
is
like
still
it's coming.
happening.
It's coming even faster now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of us are not equipped to, and
We're
actually,
not
that kind of like even brings out more of our dysfunction. You know.
many times. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but I think the leagues are trying, the various sports are trying to be compassionate more and more. They're trying to hear and understand the human side. Not that they didn't before, but it's more concentrated now. Especially in the NBA, the number of guys that are suffering from depression. Some of these guys that are acknowledging that, I've had a chance to see them on TV and interviews and stuff, and you had no hint of that by what the way they present themselves, and they're starting to let you into what their world, and you're shocked by that admission. So the leagues are now trying to say, listen, how can we help you? We got a job to do, and that's anywhere you're working, whether it's in sports or corporate America. We still got a job to get done. But how can I help you do that? And so more time and attention is trying to be given. Now players have to be forthcoming. They got to take the help. We got to get rid of that stigma. I'm seeing a psychiatrist or I'm having mental health. We got to get rid of that. That's why a
Yeah.
lot of people don't come forward and they suffer and they cause others to suffer because they're not able to face it. And we put a stigma on them, and that's just human nature. But we got to try to correct that because this person is asking for help. The same way I would go to the dentist and say, hey, listen, my tooth hurt. Can you fix that? I don't care who knows about my aching tooth, it still hurts.
Right.
And we got to look at mental health like that. And not everybody's, and there are a lot of people that are getting mental health treatment through through a therapy sessions, psychiatrists, or that we don't know and interact with every day because it's keeping them stable. And it's no different, Charles, than me picking up the phone and calling you and saying, Charles, let me talk to you for a minute. I just dump all this stuff, this in, I clear my hatch like we do on the computer. You go in there and clean out your box a little bit. You throw all that stuff away, and then we reload again. It's the same principle,
Right.
you
Let me
know. So,
throw a couple of games from last week on you.
mm,
Ask you what you think about it. The Buccaneers and Panthers, where the Bucks went in and won that game.
I think I picked the Panthers to win, or did I? I
Right,
don't
right,
recall.
yeah, right,
I think I picked the Panthers. The Bucks kind of surprised me a little bit. They played better than I thought they would.
right. How about the Ravens and the Cardinals? Your boy Jackson, man,
Yeah,
is he looking? Man, he's looking good back.
looks
I
good.
mean, in the pocket.
Yeah, he looks good. It, I think that's the other thing too. A lot of these teams are. I won't say they're surprising, maybe that's not the right thing to say, but they're outperforming expectations. That might be a better way of saying it. Because in any given Sunday, man, that's what it's supposed to be about anyway. Anyway, on any given Sunday, a team can come out and outperform another team, and that's what I've seen these last 3 weeks. Some teams that they come out, they outperform other teams and got a win when I didn't think they would get one.
Are the are the Lions better than what we think? Because they beat the Chargers.
I, I think they are. I think what we want to see is how consistent can they be. But I really thought that last year some of the moves that they had made, even on the field last year, they were growing into themselves, so to speak, that they would be better this year. Now, how much better, I'm not sure. I couldn't, I had no idea how much better they would be, but I thought they would be better. Same thing with the Raiders. I thought they would be better. He's got a year now. He's got time to really put into play how he thinks, how he wants things done, and structure, and all of that kind of stuff. And so we should see something different on the field. And so far, in those two teams, and including the Browns, they look different. Now, are they going to win a lot of games? We're going to have to wait and see that. Are they going to be Super Bowl champions or divisional champions and something like that? I don't know, but they do look different. They're
Uh,
competing.
are the 49ers that much better, or are the Bengals just that bad?
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that one. It could be a combination of the two. I'm not sure. I was surprised by the 49ers, but they've been trying to get it together. The Bengals have been struggling a little bit. Um, I actually kind of expected the Bengals to do a better job, but it's week three, with week four coming up now. I mean, week three coming up now. We'll see what kind of adjustment they make, but a little surprise there
were
for
you
me.
were you surprised that the Jaguars was going for two, for the win against the Texans versus going in
uh,
overtime?
that's it. Okay. So that's one of those decisions that I guess it depends on who you are. That's the character of the coach. I kind of like the idea, like, let's go for it. What the heck? We out here, let's go, let's give it a shot. Now some would be more conservative and say, hey, let's go for the tie and try to win in overtime. Sometimes the coaches are saying, I don't think we got a good chance in overtime, so let's get it now.
Right.
I think there's some things that's going against us for overtime. We're going to try and win it right now. So I kind of liked his decision, but I was surprised at the same time, if that makes sense.
I wish that Eli had a team because he 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 may be, down a few notches, but he doesn't have
Hmm.
anything to work with, which even expose more of where he is. But
Yeah,
I think that if he
yeah.
had a team, he I, I think he's stable enough to be productive, but he doesn't have anything to work with. But it's going to be interesting to see how the young quarterback and how the team is going to do with him starting.
But Charles, that's an interesting point, and I agree with you 100% on that's what I was saying. But I also understand, and this said he's gonna come back. The kid, the coach may have to make another change somewhere down the line and come back to Eli. It was interesting Eli's approach. And I know this is uh, private PR. He understands it was coming. He understands what his seasons have been like, regardless of what's in front of him. Player wise, there's a level of expectation for his execution. And when he doesn't do that, it kind of exposes him. You throwing balls and people drop it. Okay, is it a bad pass or are you just dropping the ball? There's a difference. If it's a bad pass, then I need to look at the quarterback. If it's you dropping the ball, I need to look at the receiver. Um, and I was reading something that they were saying, and I kind of shared with him. You just hate to see his career go down like that because he's been a heck of a player. I think he's been a good journeyman player and a good standout at times. And maybe I got a little compassion for him. I just hate to see his career end like that. And it may not be over, but just
Right.
right now to bench him, that's huge. And can you imagine a coach's decision against a legend? Because he really falls into that
Right.
legend category.
Right.
That I
Right.
got to go to him and say to him, I'm going to bench you this week.
Right. Yeah.
Coaches do it all the time, but I mean, you just walk in and say, "Hey, I hate to say this to you, but for the best interest of the team, I got to do this." And I think Eli understands that as much as he is disappointed. I really believe he understands it, but it's no less disappointing. I was kind of surprised. I'll be honest, I was surprised, but it's a good decision. Well, it's the right decision. We'll see if it's a good decision and how this young man performs.
The Chiefs looked great against the Raiders, man. Nothing. I mean, they
Mhm.
just looked good, didn't they?
I
I
thought
mean,
so.
I don't. I
And
mean,
the
I don't
Raiders,
know if you saw that game, but
I saw
the
highlights of it.
right.
I
Yeah,
saw
I
highlights
saw
of
it.
it. And
Yeah, yeah, I
the
watched.
Raiders defense didn't play, they didn't go out there and lay down. I mean, but that's what I expect from Kansas City.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think they just poised to roll. They got a lot of mechanics that are working for them, and they're just doing a lot. I really think they're going to go far this year. But we'll see. But I really think so.
Yeah. Well, that's really wasn't. Did you see the Eagles Falcons game?
I saw a part of it. I did not see all of it.
Okay. That was a very good game. That was a
The
it
part that I
was
saw was very competitive.
right, right. And then the Eagles actually had a chance to win that game on the not I mean, well, they were coming downfield to actually win the game. I guess it was like
Mhm.
a minute to go, and the guy just dropped. The ball went right through his hands, and he was headed for a touchdown, Vince. And
Mm.
the ball just went just like this and just went right through his hands, and it's just like wow. And
Yeah.
all
Now he got to
even
live with that for a week.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
see, got to
But
see it over and over and over on the news. It's all in and then that other, that's tough, man. I hate to lose that way, but it happens, um,
I
and it's
was
devastating.
yeah, I was thinking that the Broncos would be a little bit better than what they are, but then it is just week two. That when we
The
saw.
Broncos, they haven't. I didn't think, and I could be wrong because I didn't follow them as closely, and I really haven't really taken a hard look at their roster. I thought they made some moves in the offseason that was strengthening them. I always thought the defense was decent. The offense to me struggled, but they just don't seem to be in sync right now. And maybe but like you said, we're going into week 3. We'll see what happens because a lot of adjustments taking place, obviously, with
Okay,
all these
well,
injuries. That's
right.
going to really change. I don't know if they're suffering that many or not, but everybody seems to have some injuries. There's still some people being moved, some still people being cut from teams, released from teams, traded, and all this kind of stuff, put on waivers. So it's a lot of bodies floating around out there that a lot of these people will be able to reload, I hope.
Well, let's go to college and other things. The NBA real quick and college football. Then we're gonna go back and then we're gonna wrap it up on this coming NFL Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Johnson was signed.
Yes,
Right, he was signed,
great
and
story for him to
right,
be able to go to the Big 3 and come back. That's pretty good.
right, and the Magic extended the contract of with the guard that played for Philly. Is it Flutes? Flutes?
Oh, Markel Phil.
Fit, however you.
Why? Uh, I didn't see that, but that's interesting because
Yeah, yeah. They extended his contract.
ooh. Now, here's the one thing about that though, and I guess I should. You look at this. This could be for future opportunity to get rid of him. And I
Right,
wouldn't. Let me say this. Now, let me rephrase that. Future opportunity to make a trade. To put him because I'm sure they're guard heavy, and maybe put him someplace where he's more beneficial to someone else, rather than just let him go. Let me hold on to him, try to get something for him because he was a number 1 pick, and there's some money on the table out there for that
right.
they had to pay, and they had to absorb that dollars and stuff. So, or maybe they believe it. Maybe he's finally coming around because he's been a big disappointment.
Big,
but they
big.
seem to still believe in him. So there must be. I'm hoping there's something that's there to keep that hope going.
Okay. Real quick to college football. UCF looked awesome against Stanford. Did you see any of
They
the
did.
highlights of that?
In fact, I saw most of the game.
Okay.
Here's my challenge.
Okay.
Here's the thing that just got me confused. It's Willie Taggart in Florida State. There was a there was a thing on Facebook the other day where a kid had started a lemonade stand to try to raise money to buy his contract out. You know, uh, and, and I thought for about I actually thought that was funny for a minute. Then the human side kicked in. You know how he must be feeling to be that close and lose. I mean, he's had 3 games where they have been able to put points on the board, have the game in control, and come back and lose. Well, they come back and they lost 2, and they got away with that 1 win. That's got to be traumatic. To the team as well. But look, Charles, they come back. They lost that. Come from behind, lost in the first week. They come back. They struggle. They got back together, came back and won the second week. Close game, last minute, whatever. How they pulled it off. You come back week 3, you push out, then you're in control, and you turn around, you gave it away again. So something positive is happening, but more obviously more negative things are happening than positive. So they're doing something's going right, but what's going wrong is obviously he's the head coach. He gets blamed for that. I 100% understand that, but it's confusing.
Yeah.
Why I just like this. The former UCF coach down in Nebraska. They rolling down there now. It's been a couple of years, and he kind of got his train on the track down there,
Right.
and which is what I thought would happen anyway. And I'm hoping, they are. I don't know if Taggart's going to see the whole season. I think he should, but he may not.
Not
You
well.
know,
You you
he may
you
not.
you cannot go to Florida, Florida State, Georgia, any of these schools, and
Mhm.
no, 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 no. That's no, no. He probably would not. Jalen Hurts in
Look
Oklahoma.
really good. Look really
Man,
good. It
oh,
goes, Charles. I think it speaks to, for me, the way I look at it. It just speaks to the competitive where he came from. So that means he was in such a highly competitive place that it looked like he was a second quarterback when he was just a nick and tuck. And now you bring him over there, and this boy is exploding over doing some of the same things he did at Alabama. Run,
right.
pass, doing the same thing. No different. The scheme may be a little bit different, but basically he's doing the same thing. So hats off. I thought it was a bad decision to leave, but he's definitely doing a great job there, and my hats off to him for that one.
Okay, now we can go back, and this is what we can talk about.
How about them
But
Cowboys?
well,
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
before we talk about them Cowboys, because that is definitely something we need to talk about.
Okay,
You know that California had talked about. We talked about that last week about paying their athletes.
right.
Well, the New York State senator has proposed a bill forcing colleges to pay student athletes. So
Oh,
now it's
really?
catching on the moves. Now we're from West Coast over to the East Coast.
Okay.
I really think it's going to happen, and I think there's some validity to it. I think obviously we got to be able to regulate it to some degree, but I think it makes sense. Now, how about them Cowboys? Uh, I've got to
Eh,
admit, for 2 weeks now, we on into, and I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid, but I'm excited for my team. I really like and in fact they were trying to move what's the kid named Charleston. They were trying to trade him, Taco Charleston. They wanted to trade him and they couldn't, so they released him. So somebody will pick him up. He'll get a job. But they look really good. I thought they gave up a big run, and then that defense pulled themselves together. I don't understand the hesitation in paying Dak Prescott is money. The young man for 2 weeks has looked very good. Two impressive divisional wins, and his passing has been on the cue. Good decision making on the field. Zeke, he kind of got. I felt, first week was going to be a little slow. Second week he got it going. He kind of picking it up a little bit. I think that's just a matter of more. The more he played, the better he gets. Cooper looked good. The receiving good. They're looking pretty sharp right now.
Somebody's hurt.
Again,
Is it Gallo? Who Gallo? Isn't somebody hurt?
Gallup got hurt, but he'll play. I think he'll play
Okay.
this week.
Okay.
See
Okay.
that again? That's what makes me mad with Jerry. We could have been, once again, we're having success, but at what cost? That's kind of what I'm looking at. But I don't want to be naive and not enjoy the success. But we could have come out the gate doing a lot better. But anyway, we're doing well. So they got to. We'll see how they do this Sunday.
But we'll see. Well, see. Even though you guys got a game this week, but you really have a bye. Okay.
Well, now this is the mark of good coaching and good teams. It's something I'm saying to our young players: don't settle for good and cheat being your best. And that's what I would say to the Cowboys if I was playing this week. Don't go out there because of who we're playing, because it's not about them, it's about us. Let's maintain our standard. Let's play to our highest potential to win the game. Can we win the game? Probably, but let's make sure we win the game. Don't play down, play up. Play to our best. And if it gets a victory, fine. Because you go in there and turn a blind eye and get your brains beat out, get your heart taken from you. And gosh knows I've known that to happen. I know they know that to happen, and gosh knows you better put your head in. Don't put your head in your hand.
Boy, but see, let me say this right here. They cannot lose to the Dolphins. They will never hit the end of that for the next
Well, that's what
five
I'm
years,
saying. You
right?
don't
They'll never hit the end of
you
that.
don't want to go in there and get your head handed to you by the Dolphins. You're supposed to beat them. Beat them. Now you don't have to beat them by a lot. You don't have to beat them 100-1 and all that. Let's just my bottom line is this: let's have more points than they do. And all that. I'm okay. If we win by one, I'm good. Now, we should win by
Okay.
more than one, but if we win by one, I'm good.
All right.
So
The Jaguars been in the news because their cornerback was saying that he want out, but just speaking to the coach, heard him speak right before the show. He said they had a meeting, everything seemed to be good, but then the
he's
cameras was,
gone.
the cameras was on him. So they're playing the
He's
Titans tomorrow night.
Yeah, he's gone. He'll play
Okay.
tomorrow, and I think after that they'll let him go. If the background that they have, if they're able to squash that, then I believe it. I just don't think they're able to do that.
Okay.
And I don't know why he. I mean, the kid's a good ball player. If he release him, somebody will pick him up.
Yeah. Well, they're looking for a first round pick and a few other picks
That's
for
gonna be
for
tough.
him, right? Yeah.
That's gonna be a
The
tough sell.
right, the Bengals and the Bills.
I like the Bills.
Uh, good defense. Eagles and the Lions.
I'm worried about the Eagles, man. They're just not healthy, man. I think they're playing. They looked okay. I don't know if they're gonna be able to survive this health issue that they got. Uh, I'm not going. I'm who they playing. I'm excited about Detroit. I'm gonna go with Detroit on that.
Okay. Oh, well, here, here's another bye week. The Patriots are playing the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much
So
as I hate to say it, because I'm not a Patriot, I just don't want the Patriots to have anything. But that's.
yeah.
I mean, they got to come and play. But
Right.
yeah, the Patriots take that without a doubt.
Okay. Falcons and the Colts. That should be a good game.
It could be interesting. The coach not as bad as people make them out to be. I mean, they got to overcome. They got some hurdles to overcome. But Atlanta seems to have some hurdles every year. But I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
Okay. The Raiders and the Vikings. That should be a good game too.
Yeah, I like the Raiders though. I like what they're doing. I like the potential for the Raiders.
Ravens and the Chiefs, another good game.
I gotta go with the Chiefs.
Okay. Broncos and the Packers,
Packers,
Panthers and the Cardinals,
Cardinals.
Giants and the Buccaneers.
Boy, that's gonna be a slugfest there. That's gonna be ugly. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay because they got their current starting quarterback on the center.
This this actually would have been a much better game if Breeze would have been there, but the Saints and the Seahawks.
It still may end up being a pretty decent game, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Saints.
Oh, no, okay. Texans and the Chargers.
I think the Chargers bounce back. Texans look pretty good, but I think the Chargers come back.
Steelers and the 49ers.
Man, I want the Steelers to win again. I don't know, for some reason I'm not a huge Steeler fan, but for some reason I got a little compassion in me for them. I don't know why, so I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
Rams and the Browns.
I got to go with the Rams.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's a Sunday night game. And the the Bears on Monday Night Football with your favorite team, the Washington Redskins.
I really don't care, but I'll go with the Bears. My youngest son is gonna be. I know if he sometime he watches the broadcast. If he sees this, yeah, my phone will start ringing because he's a huge Redskin fan. And I tell him, you must be. I don't know how you got in the family coming from being a Redskin fan, but he's a huge Redskin and a University of Miami fan. So we get
Oh
a
well,
chance to have some fun with that one.
now
So
now
yeah.
I used to be a Miami fan, Hurricane fan back when they were like the Miami Hurricanes, back. But those used to be some bad boys. But it's
Well,
been
I
a
go back
long
to Jimmy
time.
when Jimmy Johnson was
Right,
Jimmy. I was a fan when Jimmy Johnson was there, but
right,
pretty much after he left, I kind of lost my flair for them.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's it for the NFL. Major League Baseball is winding down.
Yes.
Looking forward to the playoffs coming up. The Yankees look tough. Dodgers look good. So I think the
That's going to
Cubs
be
are,
interesting.
yeah,
I'm kind of this is when they go into the playoffs is really when I start really paying very close attention to baseball because I got three teams. I'm a Brave, Dodger, and Yankee fan, and when if they're all doing well, boy, it's exciting time for me. But
right,
baseball gets interesting to me then because of the game changes, the stakes are different. The teams shift into a different gear. The game looks different to me then. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. NBA basketball is around the corner.
right.
I think coaches are already in camp. Players are coming in next, officially coming in, I think, either the end of the month or the 1st of October. And, high school basketball will be kicking off in our area starting the first Monday in November. So we got pushed back this year. So we're excited about that. So because once that NBA and college starts, I know we're right around the corner.
Okay. Well, we had one of our viewers, Myra. Hey, you can say hi to Myra. Hi, Myra.
Hey, Myra.
Actually, Myra is supposed to have a show that she's working on. We'll talk more about that, so you can spread the word. Once she finalizes everything, we're gonna make sure that people tune in because it's gonna be a very uplifting and inspiring show. So we're looking forward to that. I'll give you some more information on that as soon as we
Okay.
finish talking and meeting and stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to give her a quick shout out. Well, again, this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. This is the original Coach Carter. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, the original Coach Carter. And I'm Charles Morris, and this is Youth Central Sports. We want to wish all of you. By the way, again, let's do this real quick, Vince. For those who would like to donate. You can Google Hope Fleet. That's hopefleet.org. Or I would say Google if you would like to try to help those that are devastated with the devastation that's going on in the Bahamas. I have a friend, the gentleman that I go water skiing with. He has flown. He's a pilot, so he has flown back and forth. The gentleman that he works for he's been taking over some supplies, and he said that it's very hard to even to describe what it looks
Yeah.
like and what it is over there. He said it looks like a bomb just went off, and he said he don't even know how they're going to recoup from what he sees, based on how devastating it is over there. So again, for those, you can Google, but here's one organization, and please be very careful for those out there that's trying to scam you out of your money, trying to take advantage of the situation. And with that being said, I'm Charles Morris with the original Coach Carter. Everyone, please have yourself a blessed week.
Be blessed.